Hello and welcome to the Common Sense SEO show, and it's apparently show 26. I think we've been here before, but we've also done 225. So why not do 226s as well? No, I think actually it is genuinely. So anyway, welcome. It's going to be a great show today. We've got some great information for you, and Henrik's there with his PowerPoint presentation and so on and so forth. But obviously, first we need to get you over to Henrik to go through the housekeeping, please.
Yeah, and I just want to know if everybody can see us and hear us. So if you could put yes in the comment section, that will be appreciated from here. But I think I have some. So, okay, here we went. And there's a little bit lag delay, so let's see what's coming up here. Yes.
Lots of yeses.
Yeah. And whilst we're here, remember to, if you could do us a favor, like the show, if you of course like it, and if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the show so we can send you a notification when something is coming up, which might not be announced in the different groups. And we are thinking of making some follow-up videos of the topics that we are discussing, but more about that later. Tony.
Yes, that's good. That is good. You've reminded me. That's something we do need to cover, and we will cover it in a little while, of course. Today, however, and this is a perfect example, actually, because this is quite an in-depth topic when we start pulling the covers off, as is everything. Today, what it was go back to just a couple of weeks, and one of the guys in the group said to me, "Hey, how do you do this?" And I looked at it and I thought, that's actually a really good question. And the question was, how do you guys put together a Web 2.0 social media IFTTT ring? And I thought, we're always on the various Skype groups, we're always talking about IFTTT rings, Web 2.0, whatever you'd like to call them, embed networks, I suppose you could at a stretch, all sorts of things. There's all sorts of names and variations. But it's valid, isn't it? How do you put them together? I mean, I know that it's very easy to go off and probably buy them at the various places, probably, if you can find a good deal that you can trust. But how do you do them yourself? How do we do them? How do we put them together? How do we use them to benefit our assets, our online assets? And also, very importantly, how do we power them up? Because that is one of the key factors, I think. I mean, I'm not going to go into some of our case studies just at the moment, because I want to come back to them when you sort of know where this thread is going and what we're talking about. We've got lots of examples, but Henrik is there with a presentation. I'm reliably informed, and so I don't want to talk on forever and go over the things that he's going to cover anyway. So let's hand back over to Henrik for the presentation. Let's learn about the magic of IFTTT rings, how we put them together, and why. So Henrik.
Thank you, Tony. I've just shared my screen. Can everybody see the screen? I think they can. We put focus on it anyhow, so you should be able to see a PowerPoint presentation. Can everybody see the presentation? I'll be happy to. Yes. Okay, good. So let's dive into it. IFTTT stands for if this, then that. And what is it? It's a service where you can connect hardware and other software web services, where you simply, if you take an example, you can have an app, as IFTTT calls it, that will send a text message to your phone or to your wife's phone when you're approaching the proximity of your home, or it could be that you want to put light on in the house when you approach the house or whatever. So that's what you call the Internet of Things. And then you have the possibility to connect to web services. Web services where you can have things like Google Sheets. So whenever you put some information into a row in a Google Sheet, it can trigger an action, and that action will then go and do something else. And that's what we are diving into now. So basically what we do is, when we're talking about IFTTT rings, is that we connect a service, for example, a YouTube channel, to all our Web2.0 properties. That could be your Tumblr account, that could be your Google Drive, that could be your OneNote, that could be your Forever Note, that could be your WordPress site. So basically what's happening is that whenever we upload a YouTube video, in this instance here, to our YouTube channel, it will trigger a post to the properties that we have connected. That post will be generated by the app that we have created, where we have put what they call ingredients into it. So we could have a post that will post out to our Tumblr account or WordPress account, where we embed the video that we have posted with a link back to the YouTube channel, and we will be able to maybe also put in additional information into that. The trick here is it's a branded network. A branded network is your company's or your business's Web2.0 properties. So what you have to do, you have to optimize each individual property so it correlates to the money side or your business side that you're trying to promote in this instance. What it does is actually verifying your brand across the nets, the internet. And that's something that Google would like to see, that actually this brand is a valid brand. The information on the different Web2.0 properties are similar to, for instance, your GMB or your website. So your NAP is consistent around the ring here. So the next level is that when you have a branded ring, you could actually connect another ring, which is a persona ring or a tier 2 ring. So if you look at the diagram here, you can see we have the branded ring that will trigger, depending on what kind of trigger we have chosen, but will trigger a post or syndication of the information to the properties. And in this instance, we say, okay, Tumblr is the trigger for the ring number 2, where we have connected a blog account, which will post out to the other properties. So when the blog gets an information that there is a new Tumblr post, then it will trigger out that syndicate that information out to the other properties in the tier 2 ring. So basically what we are doing is that we say, okay, we are multiplying the syndication here. The only problem we have here is that if we only syndicate the Tumblr post out to the ring and nothing else, you can risk that Twitter or WordPress will actually close down your account, because it's just saying this is just automated post and there's nothing serious information other than just syndicating this information out. So what you normally would do is that you will add an RSS feed into tier 2. So in addition to the Tumblr recipes or apps that we are creating, we will create an additional set of recipes, which will have a recipe, for instance, for an RSS feed you have generated, which is niche specific or topic specific, so that in addition to getting what we want to push out, you get other information pumped out there as well. Does that make sense out there? Seems that nobody is hearing or what I'm saying, maybe. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Good. So any questions so far? Nope. Let's drive on then. In IFTTT, they have what they call apps, and an app needs a trigger to actually take some action. A trigger could be that, as I said, if we have an YouTube video posted to our channel, the app will listen to the channel, and whenever it's get notified that there's a new video, it will then trigger the app. And depending on what we have done with that app, for instance, if we want to post to our blogger or the other various Web2.0 properties, it will post that out to the network here. So I will try to swap to IFTTT and show you how to navigate in that environment. So I'm just...
This is where it usually goes pear-shaped, isn't it? So
Fun.
so this is where it usually goes pear-shaped, isn't it? The live demonstration on the sort of.
Oh yeah.
IFTTT will go slow. Yeah. Now, one of the other things while Henrik's going in there that I'll mention is we sort of said at the front there that you've got a branded network, which is probably the gateway through to the money site, which it can be, but don't just stop with your thinking there. Don't just think, oh, okay, I need one branded network, because you can take it further. I mean, on some sites that we've put out there, we've actually created, rather than a branded network, we've probably created a network around a silo. So whatever your top category is, we'll create. So say if you was working in, I don't know, 4 cities, let's just, for example, you're working in 4 cities, I don't know, Chicago, Detroit, New York, whatever, you could actually create a silo, one of these rings around each of those cities, and then around the brand and that city specifically. So you're actually powering up silos and the 4, let's say, the cornerstone keywords of your money site, which will give it even more immense power, because then you've got like 4 branded rings, maybe all powered up by 4 persona rings on top. So by that time, then you've got 16 sets of persona rings, 20 rings in total, pushing at one site, which is like immense power. And these things get more and more powerful with time. Don't forget that. It's not an instant button, but over time, and not very long time, but they get more and more valuable. So back to you, Henrik. Sorry.
No, okay. So everybody can see my screen where I have IFTTT website up and running. Could you give me a yes for that, so I'm not total away? Looks good. Okay. So when you log into the IFTTT website, you will have normally recommendation for the different apps that you are looking for. And you have what you call my applets. I call them app. And here you can see I have created a few here. So what I will do now, I will go and create a new applet. So I'll click over here. And what it does is say, if this happening, so I will click on this, and there I have access to all the services that I want, I can choose from. And let's assume that I want a YouTube. So, sorry. We'll get the YouTube, and the YouTube trigger that I can choose from for instance, if I like a video, I could get an action to happen there. If a new public video is uploaded by me, and that's what I want to do, so I choose that trigger. Because I already have connected my YouTube channel to the service, it doesn't ask me to connect, but you could be asked to connect. So let me just show you how we'll do that. What will happen when you do that. So I clicked on if this, and then what should happen, that's the that. So if I want to go to, let's say, Tumblr, you can see this a quest to connect to the Tumblr account, where you just give authorization like you normally do. For instance, if you're familiar with RFR or Google, GMP Mega Poster, then you know you will have to authorize your accounts to access the Google Drive, whatever. So I'll go back here and say, so I've chosen if this, then that, and I wanted to go to an Evernote here. So I will create a note, append it to a note. And here you can see what I can do. I can add an ingredients, as I said. So if you click on this one, you can see these are the ingredients, or actually the data fields that I can use. Here, I just take the title of the YouTube video uploaded. And then you can see the body here. That will be the title, the name of the channel in this instance. There will be the description and the YouTube URL. If I go further down, say I'll have to choose a notebook. In this instance, this is the IFTTT YouTube notebook, but you can again click on all the ingredients and choose whatever you want from down here. And you can put in tags. So if you want to tag it with the title of the, put in tag, colon, oops, and I put in the title here. Okay. When I'm finished, I'll click the creation. And I now created an applet. You can see it automatically turned on. So if I click finished, whenever I'm now uploading a new video to my video channel, I will have a note in a public note that will have a link back. Or if I had chosen, I could have linked back to, well, put in my money website, etc. So I actually can control how much link use I'm passing on from this applet. So in principle, it's quite easy to set them up, but it takes a lot of time because you will need, as we saw before, maybe 20, 26, or how many properties that you have access to. But when you're looking for properties, you will look for properties with a high DA, which will push that link use back to whatever you're trying to aim at or target at. So that's basically the simplicity of setting up a new applet in IFTTT. Any questions on that? Not much. But let me go into the applets again and look at the services. So if I'm going with Google, you can see you have Google Calendar, Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Sheets. And those of you who are in RFI, that will get your head spinning immediately, because there's a lot of really powerful things that you can do here. Maybe I should touch on this one, the Google Calendar. So you can, for instance, say, okay, whenever I have new events happening. I could add that to a new Trello card. I could, that's a really good one. You can see there's a lot, tons of triggers that you can use for the Google Calendar, which is a very powerful tool. So you should definitely dig into that. And we will follow up with a small video about that little topic. And Local Web Advantage asks, so to build a full ring, just to keep adding accounts? Yep. Or adding applets. So you will connect your different accounts to IFTTT, and you will then create the applets and make sure that it's on or live. And then when you're finished building up that ring, you will have a full functional ring. One of the things that you could, I should mention, for instance, I use the YouTube trigger, but I could actually take other ones that also trigger around in the ring, but you will have to build the applet for each, what you could say, trigger ring that you want to build. So
and can we import these? Can we do, I mean, if somebody's doing this regularly, I mean, can they just have a template that they can just import into a new account? Obviously, you're not going to build all your IFTTT rings within the same IFTTT account because they're going to be different Gmails associated.
Yeah.
So can you export those, or can you save those up into a public area somewhere or whatever and access them and bring them into a new account so that you can quickly set up a new IFTTT ring? I know you'd have to attach all your properties again, but rather than going and creating all the recipes, is there a way of bringing all those in each time? Or do you have to do everything manually?
If you want to pay for your IFTTT service, yes.
Okay.
Then you can make what are called a public applets. You used to be able to save the applets and let them be accessible to the public, but it's only the paid version that has that opportunity at the moment.
And is that the same if can you export them? Do you know?
No, you can't. You can't export them.
Oh, right, okay. So there we go. So you've got to do it every time, but once you've done it once, you'll get good at it.
Yeah, but what I'll say is that you should maybe build one ring yourself to get the hang of it, but otherwise build or buy them from, for instance, from the ranking store. Patrick has a service where they build the rings. But what you have to be aware of, that if you buy a multi-layered ring, you have to make sure that you feed the tier 2, the tier 3 with additional content. So it's not just content coming from the branded ring. That's the only, let's say, warning that you should be aware of. And Local Web Advantages asks, so do you use an applet from branded ring to trigger a persona ring? Yep. So in the persona ring, you will connect to your, for instance, your branded Tumblr account, and then use that as a trigger, and then push it out through the T2 ring. Does that make sense?
And would you, because you've got 4 persona accounts, would you pick up the link, by pushing out from the branded out to the persona? Would you probably pick it up from different assets within that ring? Would you sort of say, well, okay, I want the blogger pushing out to that persona ring, I want the WordPress.com pushing out to that ring?
You can do that, yes.
Just to mix it up a bit, just so it's not all like, so you don't end up with 4 persona rings that are all exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that's another point, because you don't have to have, generally speaking, the blogger's at the center, so you push out to the blogger from your website, the blogger then pushes out to the syndication ring, but you don't necessarily have to have the blogger pushing out to all 22 or 23 properties or however many there are in the ring. You could actually push it out to to half of the properties, and then have other recipes within, cycling the stuff around to build interconnectivity between the Web 2.0 apps. Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Show your own creativity. That's
I just feel it probably mixes it by mixing it up a bit. You're probably spreading the juice a bit better by having that interconnectivity.
What you have to be concerned about is let's say the content coming into the rings. If it's only the same content coming into each ring, then you have the risk of getting the properties shut down. So and Google will see this is just a push. So what you have to do is to create RSS feeds for ring number 2, 3, and 4, whatever you have, and make that niche specific to your brand.
Yeah, because I mean, when Google are looking for validity of a domain, or even anybody when they're ranking, they're going to look out to see that you've got these social accounts there. But then if they can just see that they're just lame bookmarking sites, then it's not going to have any impact on them. It's not going to necessarily.
The ring in itself is okay because that's, let's say, what you have decided to put into your branded ring. But you could stuff an additional layer into that ring by having RSS feed coming in with additional information.
Relevant, obviously.
Yeah. Everything has to be topical relevant. Yeah. That's the name of the game.
And to be honest, when I'm looking for RSS feeds, I mean, I've got RSS Finder and so on and so forth, but I actually find it's just as easy to drop the keyword into Google, stick RSS feed at the end of the search, and the very first result is what is it? Feed Finder. Feed burner, sorry.
Yeah.
The very first result will come up as feed burner because, of course, I think Google own it, or they did. And you just get the top 10, and you can just quickly look at those, say, yeah, that one's got 6 posts a month, that one's got 30 posts a month. I'll take those top 3, bang them in there, feed the RSS feed out to the IFTTT Ring. That's probably a quick way of getting topical RSS feeds without too much trauma.
Or go to Google Alerts and search for a topic.
Yeah,
and then grab that RSS and put that into a burn or a mesh or some kind.
Yeah, is it not easy to? Can you expand the posts as easy in Google Alerts for the RSS for the syndication? I thought you just got the snippets. It depends whether you want the full post or not, of course. Yeah. I think that was I thought that was a downside of the Google Alerts, was that you couldn't actually extract the full post.
What I'm using RSS Ground as the major, let's say, feed burner for me, because they also have a widget which you can actually just grab and put into. So in addition to you have the feed, you can actually take that widget and stuff it into your Google site or your cloud site or whatever you have built, or even your money site if you need additional info. So you actually keep the site with refreshed data.
Okay.
So that's one way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons back in January, some of you will remember this if they're on the call at the moment. We started looking at building out local authority sites of various different types, really, to try and to build local topical geo and topical relevance. And so one of the easiest ways of doing that was to build out news sites. So one of the things we looked at, and in fact the RFR community also looked at this similar sort of thing. So I built out sort of half a dozen news sites around different topics. This was 6 months ago, so it's January this was. We built these 6 sites out. I don't know exactly how many, but around 6. And they're still churning away to this very day, pushing out news even now. You know, in fact, while we've been on the call, I've just been going and looking at them. Now, some of these have got IFTTT networks, some of them haven't, and I've got 2, and there's 2 sites that are pretty much identical, and I don't mind. I'll tell you what they are. Please don't to try and kill them, but anyway, one of them is brokenshires.com, which was basically, I built that around Brexit news, and because there's an MP called Brokenshire who I don't particularly like that much. I hope he's not listening, but anyway, so I named the site after him. That's got Brexit news, it's got immigration news, it's got I can't remember what the other one is, something else, another social topic, because the idea is talk
Cricket.
about, well, yeah, cricket, yeah, talk about something controversial, and it will bring an audience, right? So these were 3 highly controversial topics in the UK in January and still today. So I did that. Brokenshires.com. That has not got an IFTTT ring. It is almost exactly as the next site I'm going to tell you, but if you look at the metrics on that, you'll see that it's got a page authority of 8. It's got a domain authority of about 3 or 4. I can't remember. I've only just looked, but I can't remember. It's around there anyway. It's that is sort of. And I looked at another one of the sites with nothing. It again had an 8 and a 3, a PA of 8, a DA of 3. Please don't tell me whether the metrics are useless for Mals. It's just a benchmark. It's just so I can compare them. I'm not taking anything specifically from that. So then there's another site which we did, which was called Lincolnshire Highlights, which was the local relevancy because I'm based in Lincolnshire. Again, that publishes news at the same rate. It's using exactly the same setup, same themes, same software, RSS software, everything. It's pushing out about the same amount of news alerts. That has got an IFTTT ring attached to it. And that has got a PA of around 26 and a domain authority of around 16. And this is after the Moz shakeup. So that would have been 25, 26 now. So 20, that is the difference of having the IFTTT ring. That has made that website a valuable, or it's very rapidly becoming a valuable asset now. Whereas the other 2, I wouldn't bother putting links on them. I wouldn't. They're still not ranked enough. Now, there is one other thing I will say is that in the first 3 months of that site, we had the IFTTT network. We didn't power it up. And I'll get Henrik to explain what powering up is in a minute. But we didn't power it up, and consequently, the posts were going out to the IFTTT network, and the metrics were not moving. But as soon as we powered it up, suddenly the site took off. And that is proof in the pudding, really. If you've remembered what I've said those websites are, if you've been to have a look, you'll see they're all exactly the same, and you'll see the metrics are different. So you can see this is purely on the power of an IFTTT rings. And there's only one ring there, but that is exactly what is making the difference between Lincolnshire Highlights and Brokenshires. Okay, so Henrik, do you want to just mention how to power them up?
What we do, we are using Ranking Factory to power up the links. So we take whatever we have out there in the ranks and use that as a target for our campaigns in the Ranking Factory. So again, just make sure that you it has the thematic relevance for whatever you are doing, and we have a recipe where we use mostly cloud stacks, and then we use whatever tools available in the Ranking Factory either to beef them up, as we call them. Those quite simple.
And it does. You suddenly see that a blogger will go from a DA of like 1.1 or whatever, and it'll suddenly shoot up to where it should be. You know, like whatever it is. I don't know, 64 or whatever it is. I don't know. I ain't got the figures to hand. But it's crazy, and they suddenly flick from one to the next. You know, and they sort of ignite almost as soon as they get a bit of love. You know, a bit of a pat on the back from somebody outside. They burst into life, and that's when the benefits are driven back to your money site.
You can say, Tony, that if you have a high domain authority which is pushing links to a lower DA, then you pump up that lower DA because the links is coming from a higher DA.
Yep.
And that's what you should always look at when you're stacking, that you start with the highest DA, pushing up the domain authority to the lower DAs in order to gain that higher DA for the low DAs, so to speak.
Yeah. So hopefully we've sort of gone. I mean, I don't know whether there's anything left on your presentation there, but I mean, we've covered the whys and the hows of how to put them together in. I mean, as much as we can in 30 minutes. It's so hopefully we've given you a bit of a flavour. We've also shown you, actual evidence of how these things actually do make a difference to your site. So is there any, before we sort of head off into the ether and start pushing out backlinks again, is there anybody with any questions about where we've got so far? And if obviously, Henrik, if you've got any more slides there you want to get through, then feel free.
I think that's what we planned in the first run, but we can dig deeper into it if you have any questions. One of the question was about how to create RSS feed. We'll take that up in another show, so we'll come back to that.
Yeah, we can do that, because there's various different ways in there, and again, there's various different ways of syndicating that information. So it's worth, I think that one is worth one on its own, which we'll do very soon. I'm not sure what's on next week as I speak. So it could be next week, it could be the week after, but it'll be within the next couple of weeks.
Who knows?
Yeah. So anything else? Is there any other questions? There was somebody mentioned another dashboard, don't there? Another thing similar to IFTTT, which you also mentioned that we'll probably start looking at. I think it was Scott who mentioned. Yeah. I can't remember what it's called now, but infogram or info something. Integromat. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Integromat. Yeah. He mentioned that the other day. So we're gonna. Henrik's been looking into that this week, and we're going to go into that in a couple of weeks' time as well. So we'll follow this topic for a while, because I mean we've just scratched the surface. It goes a hell of a lot deeper. We want to ignite your enthusiasm for these, because these are one powerful SEO asset that you really should be utilizing. And the sooner you get on board of this, the better. The sooner you start turning on the power, the better for your own sites over the longer term.
What we can say, Tony, is that you can get quite far with IFTTT Rings, because it's a free service and it does a lot of good stuff. But when you want more complicated thing, then you have to turn to Zapier, Automate.io, or this new very interesting one that Scott's asked us to look at. And that's a really, really powerful one. So I'm just in the process of delving or diving into it, and it looks very promising, I tell you guys.
And like I say, we're hoping to do some shoot-offs. So any questions that need a video as a response, we're hoping to do shoot-off sessions away from the main weekly show. But other than that, is there any questions there, or should we say good night? Good morning, good day.
Good day, good morning, good night, wherever you are. No, just a few comments. Local Red Advantage says thanks. Good show, guys, says Terry Parra. Dwayne says good show. Thank you very much. Dwayne also wants us to dig into Zapier, so we will take a look at that. And
that's good.
Thank you, Magic PR. Don't forget your service.
Don't forget to buy your Magic PR press releases at the most. Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant. Well done. Thanks for everybody for attending. Great to speak to you all again, and thank you for giving in your questions, everything else. So we really appreciate you being here. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And I'm advised that Henrik's going to be back up his mountain. So nice sunny day, and we'll be able to see the mountainside. So let's hope there's no fog on that. Cloud, sorry, not fog, cloud. He's back up in the cloud. He is. He's cloud computing.
Cloud computing again. So take care. Until next time. See you guys. Bye-bye.